Swagger Town.
We are here.
New Orleans.
Big Easy.
This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Buzz Birch here with Kip Cooper.
As always, Kipper Cooper.
As always. And Rodney, Lightning Rod Muddergaurd, number 49. Right out of New Mexico. What is it? Junior college. The fullback, Rodney Muddergaurd.
Fairfield Falcons.
Fairfield Falcons. What the hell is going on?
It was actually JV High School.
JV High School.
Hey, he played the game, man. He played
the game. He knows what it's like to be out there on the gridiron. What's going on with you today?
It's always good to be here live with you guys. Nice to be out of the studio. It's nice to be out on the road.
Out on the road, we're in Swagger Town,
Swagger Town,
down on Bourbon Street.
I'm out of beads.
Actually,
it's only Monday. I'm out of beads.
We're actually not on Bourbon Street. We're up in the hotel room, but also still exciting.
It's very nice.
Looking out the window,
very spacious.
Air conditioner is nice, as is the view.
Complimentary coffee.
Ooh, yeah.
It's wonderful. Swagger Town is bringing
that
what
continental breakfast is
and
just
an ironing board too.
Yeah, can't forget that.
I didn't bring an iron.
Yeah,
though.
some people. Yeah, some people took the trip to Hawaii last week. This week, fools. Well, yeah. What do you think's a better game to see, the Pro Bowl or the? No, I won't even finish. But we'll
the game, maybe like Honolulu's fun, but
yeah. No, we're happy to be here in New Orleans, but let's reminisce. Let's talk about the weekend briefly.
It was a wonderful.
We won't dwell. It's too exciting to talk about everything in New Orleans and all the new coming events. But we'll dwell in the past for just a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about
Kipper Cooper, you watched the Pro Bowl with me.
My impressions of it
your impressions. Obviously, I think you might have been wrong about a thing or two.
Okay, I thought that
Tell me what you're wrong about.
I thought that the AFC was actually going to win because the San Francisco 49ers, were playing in the Super Bowl, so a lot of their players wouldn't actually be in the game.
Which is a good point. It's a good point.
But a lot of the guys proved a lot of things to me. Russell Wilson looked very decent.
Yeah, very decent, being 8 for 10 for about 100 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Okay. What I learned this weekend is that the AFC, the Pro Bowlers are all old timers. They're all the old generation, where the NFC is all the young guys, all the talent. Kudos to the NFC.
Stars.
It looked like
they dominated.
Madden game.
It looked like a dominant game, Madden game. And then also, when it comes right down to it, defensive ends, I think J.J. Watt got kind of second-handed. We saw this solidified
Battle of the Jays.
Battle of the Jays, battle of the top defensive ends. At the very end of the game, Andrew Luck goes to throw a touchdown pass in the red zone to J.J. Watt as a receiver. Who's covering J.J. Watt for this play? None other than Giants defensive end JPP. And what does JPP do? He jumps up and gets the ball. He comes down with it. It's solidifying. He played him out. He boxed out J.J. Watt.
But you gotta enjoy the Pro Bowls, the novelty of having J.J. Watt going up for a pass. I mean,
it's great.
I mean, there was a few other novelties that happened.
We saw Jeff Saturday and Peyton Manning touch hand to bum one more time, just for old time's sakes. Rodney, you missed it. You didn't watch. He's an anti-Pro Bowl guy.
Yeah, not really a Pro Bowl guy. Just like you said, if you're in the Super Bowl, generally you're going to have 3 or 4 players from each team that are really good that should be in the Pro Bowl. They should get their trip to Hawaii, not there.
A lot of good players just not going, too.
They're not tackling each other. I mean, it's the NFC.
Hey, I saw
some
sacks,
it's an offensive gun show. I mean,
what do you mean? 62 to 35?
That's low scores. It's a defensive battle.
They don't want to be hurt all summer just to rehab themselves to go back to work again.
No,
they're out there to have a good time too. I mean, it's not
with
a
their families. They're just hanging out. It's not a game. If I wanted to watch it, I mean, I could go to any schoolyard and watch two-hand touch at recess. I'm good.
Ooh, Rodney,
you listening to that, Goodell?
He knows he's burning.
Are you listening to that, Roger Goodell? That's Phantom right there, and that's the product you're putting on the field.
No, but I thought this year was better.
It was a little better,
but
but
the regular season might end up looking like in a couple years.
Where's Tom Brady?
Ooh.
Where's Tom Brady? Where are these guys that we know aren't
so
hurt?
You're right. Still, the top guys pretty much didn't go.
I mean, it was still good.
For one reason or another. Really, they didn't go.
The AFC looked old, though.
The AFC looked old. The NFC looked hot.
AJ Green, though, looking very good.
Yeah, again, the young guys pretty much dominated the Pro Bowl together. AJ Green, 7 receptions, about 120 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Basically, all of their points
Yeah, award-winning
I love
performances.
their offense. Award-winning. Actually, the actual award winner, I guess, was Kyle Rudolph taking home the MVP.
Hey, it's an award, good thing, milestone for his career. But there's some other awards coming out this year.
There are some awards coming up. Awards that are probably more meaningful
Well,
than
of
the
course.
player of the game for the meaningless game.
Well, yeah.
So let's talk about some actual meaningful awards. I
Okay.
think, what is it, This Saturday they do all the awards?
Yeah,
we
right.
won't be there.
The day
We're-
before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It gives like whoever's in the Super Bowl maybe a little big head or something. And
Yeah,
they go,
but I don't think, honestly, probably none of the guys in the Super Bowl will get any of these awards.
I don't think so either.
But nonetheless, let's take a look at them. Let's give you some thoughts and analysis.
Let's tell you who we think
Who we think is deserving,
Yeah.
who has worked hard, who has impressed Buzz, Kip, and Lightning Rod. Witcha. Yeah. All right.
Let's start from the bottom and work our way up.
Start from the bottom, work our way up. I guess starting from the bottom, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Kipper, you have an interesting pick.
Okay.
As I would.
Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Defensive Rookie
Okay,
of the Year.
Levant-
Just defensive.
Levante David of the Buccaneers. He had 139 tackles. He looked very good.
He looked good. He did look very good.
He looked
He
like
was
he
pretty
would,
out there.
He looked pretty. He looked good. He was hot.
Well,
No.
you know what I mean. I think that he looks like he has a really bright future ahead of him. I mean,
Yeah, and he, played also, mind
he
you,
had 2 picks.
Tampa Bay was one of the more dominant rushing defenses in the league,
Yes.
and basically they got burned all night in the secondary. But that
139
wasn't his fault. So you're right. He led one of the premier
Well,
units.
that's why he got so many tackles. But I mean,
No. He got a lot though from just stopping
2
the
picks
run.
is pretty
They were
good. I mean, rookie. He's a rookie. This guy.
who else had? I think who else? I mean, for linebackers, there's a lot of names. Bobby Wagner's one guy.
Again, with 2 picks, you got Luke Kuechly, also 164 tackles.
164 tackles,
I think
yeah.
he's got to be definitely in the discussion.
Absolutely for
Of
Carolina,
course.
and again on that team, he was
He was a linchpin for that.
the only
defense.
only guy in that team really tackling anybody. It seemed like every time it was basically Luke.
A warrior. Played every game too.
For me though, I'm going to go with a cornerback here, Janoris Jenkins. Hard not to take him. He had 73 tackles, 4 interceptions. And four interceptions, 2 of them to the house for pick sixes. He also had a fumble recovery that he took to the house, so 3 defensive touchdowns
I guess he's probably had
for a rookie.
He had better numbers than David, but Levante
I know
David.
you liked him, and they, like you said, they led the premier pass rush defense. But I'm sticking with Janoris Jenkins because 3 defensive touchdowns. I mean,
That's
those are
pretty good.
game changing plays.
He's got a bright future ahead of him.
Very, very.
All of these
bright.
guys have a bright future.
All of them. Well, let's continue with the rookies.
Yeah, let's go to the offensive
offensively.
side.
This is where we have a little bit more debate, and this is the real open
Well,
one.
this was a great.
Everyone's
great
looking at the
draft year.
quarterbacks. I know I am. Rodney Lightning Rod, thank you for staying out of the bubble. Thank you, at least a little bit. Who do you got?
It's hard not to just bow down to Russell Wilson this year, honestly. But I mean, I think running backs. I don't think a lot of people saw Doug Martin blowing up this year.
Yeah, he had a couple huge games.
4.6 average, 11 touches. I mean, and every time I watched a Tampa Bay game, he was just cruising down the field. There was no stopping this.
A lot
guy.
of carries.
And it's not.
He'd hit a pile, and next thing you know, he'd squirt out, and he'd be down for another 15 yards.
Yeah, sure, and that's not like, I mean, yeah, Josh Freeman is he's good,
adequate.
but he's adequate, but he's very inconsistent. So it's not exactly like he poses a
And
major
Doug
threat.
Martin was the game changer for them most games.
Yeah,
the ones they won.
The
he
one
was
they won,
definitely-
absolutely.
He was definitely a big part of it. It's
Yeah, I am.
very
how-
convincing argument. But
Just shy of the 1,500-yard mark. Really good for a back these days.
No,
Where everybody's splitting
Young
carries. You're
guy,
lucky to
you know.
get I mean, everybody's around 1,000 these days. He's up 15. It's pretty
yeah,
good.
first year too. So obviously
More to
big
come.
things to come. Yeah.
hopefully, yeah. But I have a different idea. Like you were saying, we're probably gonna go with the quarterbacks. I have a pick that's a little bit more to the norm. I'm picking the Colts' Andrew Luck. He had 23 touchdowns. He had 5 rushing touchdowns, which is pretty good, And,
That is good.
And a couple of game-changing moments. Maybe the numbers don't show because he had like some picks, But
Considering he's more of a pocket
some
passer
picks.
too than a lot of other rookie quarterbacks this
Yeah.
year, he's the more traditional pick.
That's
and
certainly
he still
true.
showed good numbers, which is good to see that
Yeah.
you can still play the old way and the new school way.
but you're right. I will drop that on you. The 18 interceptions he had. And
he was playing for like the worst team.
Granted, you're right.
He brought
threw
them
it
back
all day.
I mean, RG3. I mean, we have to mention him. He had a really good season, but Andrew Luck, it was really good.
For me though, I'm like Rodney was saying,
he had over 4,000 yards.
The
Andrew
obvious
Luck.
pick, and it really should be Russell Wilson. Without a doubt, the guy had 100 quarterback rating, 26 touchdowns, which ties the all-time record with Peyton Manning. About 500 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns as well on the ground. So yeah, he did have the better team. But doesn't that also mean something?
I think that means
player.
that's where we're going to go with the coaches award, because if it wasn't for Pete Carroll in preseason,
that's who you like, right?
For the coaches award, I think Pete Carroll made a really tough decision.
Great
decision.
There
was no injury that led to the decision. His just preseason. Matt Flynn was.
He
was fine.
They spent big money to get him
with Flynn. $10 million they gave this guy to come from Green Bay,
and he played adequately through the preseason.
But there was something that they saw in Wilson in the preseason. They gave him the nod, and they never looked back. I mean, he carried them deep into the playoffs.
Great decision. It helped Pete Carroll. It helped that whole organization, and helped your pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm going to go kind of off kilter for my Coach of the Year.
Off Kipper?
Off Kipper. Kipper is actually going with Jeff Fisher for Coach of the Year.
No, that's good. That's good.
He was 7-8-1, but I mean, these Rams have looked destitute for years, and this year they beat the 49ers and then tied with them. They beat the beloved Seattle Seahawks.
Yep. They beat everyone in the NFC West.
Who was the best division in the league. So
yes.
You have to give Jeff Fisher his due. And I think that more bright things to come from the Rams organization. Who was your Coach of the Year?
For me, I'm sticking. It's kind of interesting because I like Russell Wilson for the Offensive Rookie, which is contrary to you, Kipper. But again, in contrast, I'm going the coach of the Colts, the guy who kind of
Pagano.
No, not that coach. The actual coach for the Colts, Bruce Arians, the good coach for the Colts.
But what about Chuck Strong?
What about Chuck Strong?
Wasn't that driving the team?
1-3 and a playoff loss for Chuck Strong. For Bruce Arians, however, he led that team to 9-3 record. Those are the wins. He is the guy who did this. He is what brought good play out of Andrew Luck.
The rookie of the year.
Yeah, he is what prevented him from getting more of the picks as the season progressed. He was the guy who was there. He deserves.
I don't know if he can be in the running for it, but definitely
I
deserving.
He's deserving.
Definitely.
He is. He was the real coach of the year. I agree. Pete Carroll and obviously Jeff Fisher, both those guys doing great jobs, and a couple other coaches doing good jobs, but Bruce Arians, 9-3 with him and 1-4 without him, if you include that playoff loss. So,
well, Pagano, he came back and they lost. But speaking of comebacks, who's the comeback player?
Speaking, nice segue.
You like that?
I do like that, Kipper.
Okay, this is who my comeback player of the year is.
Who do you have for comeback player of the year?
Peyton Manning, no doubt. He had a neck injury. I was doubting him. I'm not a Broncos fan. He went out there. He had 37 touchdowns. Over 4,600 yards. Very good year and brought them close to the championship. Very good year for Peyton Manning for being hurt.
Full agreement. It's a neck injury. I mean, at any minute, that could have been the end of the Broncos season. They took a big chance on him.
Yeah.
And he proved his worth. He still got the arm. It's not as good as it was, but I mean, he's an aging quarterback as it is anyway.
So,
yeah.
But he still has the brain and the vision to get it done.
I mean, there's no zip on the ball anymore, but he's got the brain.
Smarts. Exactly.
So that's who you're.
Yeah, I think all across the board we can agree on Peyton Manning. I agree because he missed the whole year. He missed the entire season and yet didn't miss a step coming back in. So that really does speak volumes for his.
I think we all knew that Adrian Peterson would come back and play. I don't think anybody thought that it would be at the level.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think anybody was going to be like Adrian Peterson in 2,000 yards
superhuman.
I was just more skeptical about Peyton Manning. Because a neck injury, that's what you do. I mean, I know that it's his leg, Adrian Peterson's, but Peyton Manning, that's a horrible, horrible injury that he had.
And Peterson still could have came back to be an average back.
Yeah.
And still get his 1,000 a year probably without a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty impressive to get his 2,000.
So
Both
do you
were
have
impressive.
who do you have for your offensive player of the year then, Rodney?
I mean, I also got to stick with
sticking
Peyton
you're
again.
sticking. You
I'm
know, running
I'm
the
sticking
chains
with
on that.
Peyton also.
And you got Peyton. I'm gonna go different here. This is the
37
one where
touchdowns is
this is
decent-
the one where this
good
is the
numbers.
one position where they don't have to be of value to their team to get the award. So I think it has to go to Calvin Johnson.
Ooh.
The dude had a monster year.
Yeah.
Approaching 2,000 yards receiving. That's unheard of. Yeah, he had 5 touchdowns. Not a whole lot.
Bad
but again,
team.
he's on a bad team. 122 receptions, 1,964 yards,
Incredible.
45 yards short of 2,000. He broke the all-time record. I mean, I know Peyton Manning had it great, but like
Do you want us to try to convince
Megatron, convince me otherwise.
Last year,
won't.
you had a receiving core that was catching passes from Tim Tebow, and then they step into Peyton Manning, and look what they do. And they were basically a rookie core within the last 2 to 3 years.
Very good point. I mean, Peyton Manning.
He had a great year, but
I didn't think that
this
he
is
would
a
be that
phenomenal
successful.
year.
I mean, they won like 8 games in a row at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, but what Calvin Johnson did is something that's never
of
been
course,
done before.
of course, he's got
So
to
I
be
think
mentioned.
he should.
That's why
He
we're
should-
doing
he
this,
deserves
but-
it. Not MVP because he wasn't
Offensive
valuable
player,
to
though,
anything.
I could see that, but Peyton Manning.
Valuable
Just
to the
playing in the wrong
4 and
city
12
to be
record.
valuable.
Yeah.
Value doesn't. There's no value in Detroit,
It's
and that's just at
diminished.
like the shop and save. Maybe some like old Ford
Well,
cars.
we talked about the offensive players.
The defensive players.
Let's
Sorry,
talk about the
before-
other side of the ball.
let's not get off topic. So, okay, this will be fun because I have Megatron for my offensive player. For my defensive player,
Oh, is it someone else from the Lions?
it's someone else from the Transformers. It's Optimus Prime. That's my segue.
So you have
there.
Optimus Prime and
Optimus
Megatron?
Prime. Yeah, and Megatron for the offensive player. But Optimus Prime, Richard Sherman for my defensive player. And I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why. I know that's funny. Let me tell you why. He's the best player on the best defense. Seattle had the top defense this year.
Oh, he's a great player.
And he was the top player on that team. He had 3 forced fumbles, a sack, 8 interceptions, and 24 passes defended. That led the league. Tied as well for the picks
That's why
in the
they,
NFC.
that's why they call him Optimus Prime,
That's
because he can
why.
shut
He
down
can
your
shut down-
your offensive.
That's why he has the name.
Player of the year,
He's the
so-
only one who can shut him down.
So I mean, I give you his due, but I'm gonna,
He also got to stick it to Goodell.
Yeah,
with
sure
the drug
did.
test.
That-
he took it
Allegedly.
off the field and still got the win.
Yeah, the dude got
Yeah.
snubbed out of the Pro Bowl.
Big
he made
time
All Pro
snub.
because obviously the dude is incredible, but
I'm gonna go with a same guy playing the cornerback position, but Charles Tillman of the Bears. Man.
Peanut Tillman.
The Peanut. He had 86 tackles, which is pretty good. But keep in mind the Bears have a stout defense, so he doesn't really get a lot of the like rushing tackles. He had 3 interceptions. That's pretty decent, but this is the one that's gonna blow your mind.
Blow it.
10 forced fumbles. 10 forced fumbles. What is this? 1932? I mean,
Yeah,
is this the backyard? I mean,
That's a
come
feat.
on.
I mean, especially like I said, his nickname is Peanut Tillman, and that's because he's a small guy. How is he forcing those fumbles? He knows how to tackle.
He knows
people.
the angles.
He knows the angles. He is getting his helmet in there. He's getting his hands in there. He's
deserving
getting
of
his
the
hands
award.
on the ball. 10 forced fumbles, certainly nothing to scoff at. He is deserving, and he played great in the Pro Bowl. Not that really matters. Who do you got though, Rodney? Lightning Rod.
What I did all season long was I followed the Geno Atkins diet. Nothing but tackles and sacks.
I love it.
Tackles and sacks.
Tackles
all the
and-
half sacks. He
I like
also
it.
had 4 forced fumbles, 2 deflections.
Yeah, and
I mean, since he's got a really good defense,
They
and nobody
led-
talks about them, they're just under the radar.
they led
really good.
the league in sacks, and he was the reason why.
Yeah, I like it.
Cincinnati, hands above the rest in sacks. And no, absolutely, I love that. The Atkins diet.
Geno Atkins diet.
Rodney
all
is
viable
living it.
options. All of them.
All of them viable options. But when it comes to the ultimate player of
Yes,
the year,
Buzz.
the most valuable player of the year, we talked about value, how Calvin Johnson is excluded. Some of these other guys, Tillman again excluded, J.J. Watt excluded. These teams didn't do that well. Who is the most valuable player to the team?
Who
Who do you guys have?
Who you got, Rod?
I'm going with Peyton. I mean,
Sticking
I've
with
stuck with him across
Peyton.
the board. I'm giving him all the hardware I can give him this year. I like the guy. He's
he had a
coming
lot of
back.
yards.
He's looking
And
really
like you
strong.
said, 13-3, the mark for Denver. They won 10 games in a row to close the season, and definitely looked
The
a
leadership that he
shitload better
brought.
than last year with Tebow.
The leadership he brought into the locker room totally matured that team.
Totally.
And
totally.
it got him a little further this year. I
Totally.
think next year
Totally.
is going to be their year.
So the Kipper, okay, I went the other side of the maybe comeback player. I think that Adrian Peterson
Thank you, Kipper.
is
Thank you. I agree with Kipper
he is
Cooper
absolutely
here.
the
rarity.
MVP.
What a rarity.
How can he not be the MVP?
He can't not be. I
man
agree.
was like
6 yards per carry.
Yeah,
as you
that's
said.
incredible.
2,100 yards. And all, just short of the
He
record.
did average more than Christian Ponder.
He had
I mean, he
Yeah.
basically strapped the Vikings on his back.
Yeah.
he was so valuable to
And-
that team. Like
But
he had
it's
a,
the Vikings.
he was
Right.
like
They made the playoffs, though. He was valuable to something.
he was on the
And he was why they made the playoffs. And they knew
He was on the
that
heels of
Adrian
Dickerson.
Peterson was getting the ball. They stacked the box every time against him, and
And the
yet
guy
he still
found
delivered.
lanes.
He had 7 games of 150-plus yards. That is remarkable.
he
That's
had 12
game-changing.
touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. But Peyton as well. I mean,
they both
the
had
value.
incredible
They both had valuable
seasons.
seasons.
Both options that can possibly happen, but I'm telling you, Adrian Peterson. I mean, who Ponder's junk.
Obviously,
Ponder's in the junk drawer, man.
I think you know something. I think you know that this has to be true. If Kipper Cooper is in Buzz Birch and Kipper Cooper are in an agreement here.
Yeah, that never happens. So when we're saying that the MVP is Adrian Peterson, I mean Rod played the game, so
Maybe he might know something.
he might know
actually.
something. I mean,
He's probably won a couple of those league MVPs for his Division 8 football, right? High school football, the JV.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of hardware at home for sure.
Yeah. So he
Nice.
knows what it's like. So maybe he's on to something. We'll find out anyway pretty soon.
but we're in New Orleans.
We're in New Orleans. Let's say that again.
We're in
New Orleans. How does
Swaggertown.
it feel to be in Swaggertown?
It feels damn good.
This is the place, by the way. Now the 10th Super Bowl now being held here.
Nice.
That ties Miami for
When
most all
is
time.
it going to be in Buffalo?
Yeah.
What lovely weather
Well,
they
you
have
know
in
what?
Buffalo.
It's going to be in MetLife soon, so we're working our way north.
I'd like to see it.
We maybe one day
But,
will.
but we're in New Orleans.
But today we're in New Orleans, so let's talk
Swaggertown.
about that. New Orleans. How about some great memories from New Orleans? I think. What's your best Super Bowl from New Orleans? There's really only one that comes to mind, so hopefully you answer with it.
Well, the Patriots versus
Okay,
the
cool.
Rams.
That was it was
the
a
Patriots
lot,
versus
but-
the Rams was a great game. Adam Vinatieri.
Super Bowl 36. The underdog Patriots take on the greatest show on turf. That happened right here in New Orleans.
Very good, a great, compelling game.
And really the only close game that has ever happened here. So,
Yeah, what about the Patriots getting whomped by the Bears in '86?
yep, that definitely happened. They
It did
also
lead to the Super Bowl shuffle.
and did they yeah.
Hey, at least something good came of it.
Something good came from it, right? So we're happy. But unfortunately, didn't that lead to like all the other crappy rap songs? The Niners have a really good one where Jerry Rice
Oh, it totally
raps,
did,
and
but you
the
gotta
St.
love
Louis
them.
Rams, and
I love football.
you should, if
songs.
anyone has a chance, YouTube some of those great football songs. You know
The LA Raiders one is
that
priceless.
one might be the worst.
The LA Rams one is the worst by far.
Definitely very bad.
They're bad. Check them out though. They're worth YouTubing. You'll get a laugh.
Okay, but why are we in
Oh, okay.
New Orleans?
You're right. We're here now because there's an actual new Super Bowl.
Oh, what's the game that's happening?
What's happening is the Ravens are playing San Francisco. It's the Har Bowl.
The Har Bowl.
Yeah, that crappy name that we get to dub this Super Bowl.
I'm
Har
calling
Bowl.
it the Bro Bowl.
The Bro Bowl.
Bro
I like
Bowl.
that better.
I love Bro Bowl.
Or maybe the
Or
Super
Brawl.
Bro.
What about just Brawl?
Just roll. Super Bowl.
The Super Brawl.
That's kind of hard to say. I like the Bro Bowl, or it's better than Har Bowl.
Either way, we just have a week of having to
Bowl.
talk about these two guys.
Only a week. We spared you guys last week. You don't want to talk about it too much. Who do you think the parents are rooting for? Because I mean, honestly, you know they have a favorite.
Well,
so who are mom and pop Harbaugh pulling for here? The younger brother or their pride and joy, the oldest son?
The older brother never played.
That's true.
Jim Harbaugh at least played the game. You know, John Harbaugh never really,
What does that mean for the
He's
parents?
repping the nicer city as a whole.
Ooh, San Francisco, definitely a lot.
I mean, I would rather walk the streets of San Francisco than
Then Baltimore.
Yeah,
Baltimore's
that's fair.
yeah, that's an
Yeah,
absolute good
they're
point.
more apt to
I'm
visit
not
him
going
in
to take
San
anything
Francisco.
away from Baltimore's beer. However, they have
Yeah.
definitely good beer. But I would not walk around the streets.
Yeah, but definitely I'm looking. I think that they're. But the mom's gonna be wearing one jersey. The dad's gonna
You
be.
think so?
Yeah,
I think.
I don't know if they have jerseys, but they're gonna be wearing like a San Francisco and a Ravens jersey. They're both gonna be pulling for both of them. We're gonna have to hear about it endlessly.
We will have to hear
I'm
about
gonna
it
get
endlessly.
the camera cuts are gonna get old real fast.
Oh, man.
Anytime something dramatic happens,
It's
in the
going to
game,
cut
they
up to
the
it. You know
parents'
it's
cam.
true. It's going to be terrible. Maybe we'll have like a blow up though, like Giselle last year, where she swore off
That'd be
Wes
good.
Welker. Maybe one of the parents will do that, like in a heated moment or something, like
Like
goddamn Fonta Leach, or fumbling. I don't know.
I'd like to see
Bernard
it.
Pierce. I don't know. We'll see where that goes.
But the game itself.
The game itself, though, let's talk about some actual players. We're trying not to bore you because we know everywhere else is going to be talking about all the good players, but we'll still talk about them. The quarterback matchup, Kaepernick versus Flacco.
That classic matchup of Kaepernick versus Flacco.
Well, Flacco,
Who didn't see this coming?
Right? Oh, yeah.
I think everyone predicted this
you know
back
what?
in week 16. This is where we were going to be.
I actually had this as my preseason pick. I even predicted Colin Kaepernick. No, not at all. Of course not. Who had this?
No way.
Nobody.
But it's happening.
But it's happening, and
they've played before. Like last year, they played each other, and you said the game was 6-3.
Yep, in the Hard Bowl last year,
the Ravens won.
Yep, 6-3.
So they got the edge there.
But now we have a new quarterback, Colin Kaepernick. He's completely different than Alex Smith. Does he give the 49ers an edge, Rodney?
I mean, he definitely gives them an edge just for the question mark factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where's it going to come from?
He's going to be in the pocket as long as he can. He does rush. I mean, obviously his numbers show that, but he's not a rush first guy. I think that's what's going to help keep the Baltimore defense kind of on their heels a little bit.
Yeah, the option has been going really strong.
Going well, and the beauty of it has been is that if you watch which obviously they have watched, Baltimore has been planning for this, versus Green Bay, Kaepernick ran it 75% of the time probably on those option routes, and he racked up 183 yards. And then the next week,
game
against the Falcons, he didn't run it at all. No option. So it was just, they ran the option, but he never took off with it. They just handed it off every time, and he would just pass it. It's
coaching.
It's coaching, and so you have no idea where it's going to be coming from because he can do it both ways. He can go both ways, and it's going to be good.
He can.
He is the extra added.
But we also
flair.
got some older players. We got Ray Lewis, possibly his last game.
Yeah, let's talk about that storyline. Is it the passing of the torch kipper?
I think that it totally is. I mean,
to Patrick Willis, obviously, is what we're talking about here.
Ray Lewis is going to pass the torch this weekend to Pat Willis. I mean, it's definitely
going to be official.
You're seeing the next generation's best middle linebacker playing my generation's
probably two best. Well, because we'll go so far as to say Navarro Bowman might even be like the number, because he had better numbers than Willis this year.
Yeah, we forgot to mention him in the Defensive Player of the Year.
Certainly a viable option. The guy had like 140 tackles himself. So but you're absolutely. I think you're right.
It's definitely going to be a matchup between the linebackers.
And then running backs, too. The teams are eerily similar.
Randy Moss. Yeah,
well, he's still there. How about Frank...
Ray Rice out of the backfield.
That's what I was going to say. Ray Rice and Frank Gore. Talking about two running backs.
Downhill runners.
Yep. We have, basically, again, for the numbers, very similar.
I think it's Ray Rice catching the pass out of the backfield or something you're going to have to look out for.
He is a little bit more of an explosive out of the backfield
and
than
Bruce
Frank
Almighty
Gore.
Miller, too, blocking.
Leading the way. And again, on the other side, too, the Ravens have a Pro Bowl fullback leading Ray Rice as well. So both of those guys averaging about 4.5 yards per carry for the season. So definitely great for running backs. Let's who doesn't get talked about as much. Let's go for our little segment here for this matchup.
The off the marquee matchup.
Thank you. That's the one I'm looking for. Off the marquee matchup. I'm going right with the old timers.
Yeah.
You said it a minute ago.
Ed Reed
and Randy Moss. Who is more deserving? Who deserves this more? Because that's who's probably going to get this Super Bowl.
Contrary to belief, most people think that Ed Reed
already has one.
He was part of that championship team, versus the Giants, but he wasn't.
He was not. The year after.
Yeah. So he never got a ring. But meanwhile, Randy Moss, possibly the second or third greatest receiver of all time.
Yeah, up to debate. We had an argument earlier.
But he doesn't have a ring. He's played in a Super Bowl. He lost in a Super Bowl. This could, one of these guys deserves a ring. Which one's hungrier?
Initially, we'll look at. Actually, I'll give you some numbers first for their careers. We'll give the respect first.
Let's delve into this.
Let's delve into this. Randy Moss receptions, 982 receptions, 15,000 plus yards and 156 touchdowns.
Pretty good.
Second all time on the touchdowns there for receivers. Ed Reed, though, on the other side, he's got 7 defensive touchdowns, which is incredible.
That's out of hand.
A handful of sacks, 6 sacks. You want to know how many interceptions though he has?
What is it, like 40, maybe
one.
like
61 interceptions. Wow. That is a level of consistency unheard of for a career. And he's a safety, so it's a playmaking safety. He's got 11 forced fumbles, 600 plus tackles. Who's more deserving? Which career needs this Super Bowl to?
I'm leaving this one up to you, Lightning.
I got to go Randy Moss. I mean,
I kind of
the guy's
agree with
electric
you.
on the field. He's been playing. He missed a season because of attitude problems again.
Basically.
He's coming back, and he came back. He took a lesser role. You hardly heard about him all season long.
Put up decent
until playoff time comes.
Decent numbers. I mean,
he's not getting a lot of looks, but when he gets the looks, he's making it happen still. And I'd like to see him pull a couple down in this game.
He's being a team
and
player.
That's what he needed to do. I think he learned that when they kind of gave him the boot from New England.
Yeah,
he learned that he needed to ride the team bus.
And you saw him actually step it up when Colin Kaepernick got put into the game itself. When it was Alex Smith, he was kind of just dodging passes in the back. But when Kaepernick came in, it felt like a reemergence.
Rejuvenated a little bit. And also, how much do you think his presence is helping the development of Michael Crabtree? We've seen him break out over the last,
of course.
second half of this season.
Just knowing
how much of that is Randy Moss being there with a veteran
status. He must be teaching him several tricks of the trade.
Bringing him to nightclubs, showing him the nice places not to get accosted or tased. But I think that Randy Moss is a great impression because when Michael Crabtree goes into that locker room, he's not the best wide receiver.
No.
And that's humbling to a player like Michael Crabtree with as big a head as Michael Crabtree.
That's true.
But Ed Reed on the other side is a great player.
Ed Reed is also deserving.
He's
obviously Ray Lewis
always been a great
wants to go out
player.
on a high, obviously. So it's going to be...
We'll have to
I wouldn't mind seeing Anquan get one more.
That's true, too.
I mean, he's an aging player that not a lot of people are talking about because there's a lot of
doesn't get as much respect, but
That's
lots of people forget how good he was for Arizona all
he was
those
amazing.
years, opposite of Larry Fitzgerald.
Until they got Larry Fitzgerald to take a little bit of the pressure
and then
off.
And that year when they had Kurt Warner, I mean, that was like lights out.
That was magical.
It really was. It was an incredible year for the trio.
Yeah,
that was, great stuff.
Great year,
but anyway, we'll stick back to 2013, New Orleans. That's where we're at. New Orleans, Swagger Town. That's the one. Well, we've pretty much discussed most of the angles of the game, the storylines. Let's get down
Who's winning this game?
to the track. Yeah,
who's winning?
Who the hell is winning and why?
Who cares about the commercials?
No.
Fuck the commercials.
Not who's winning and why. Let's look at it more with an alternate look. Who is losing and why? Kipper. Who's? All right, well, we'll tie this into a segment actually.
Okay.
Piece of shit.
Okay.
Who's gonna ruin the team? Who is the piece of shit?
The piece of shit and the team that's gonna lose. Okay, my piece of shit is the kicker of the 49ers, David Akers. He's been junk drawer all season. Junk drawer all season. He's been in there. Might as well throw him in the garbage.
He missed a crucial 38-yarder.
I think he's gonna miss
a dome.
He's gonna miss a crucial 44-yarder, and the older brother's gonna get the win. The Ravens are gonna get the win on a David Akers missed field goal.
Ooh.
What do you think, Lightning Rod?
I kind of agree that the Ravens might pull this one out, but I feel like it's gonna be backup quarterback Alex Smith might be involved.
How
with this.
so?
Who gets the
I feel like he's going to be in this game for a little bit of time, either as maybe even the placeholder.
Okay.
For David Akers.
So you thought,
but it could just be something as simple as Kaepernick taking a big hit, mandatory.
Yeah, to come out for like a play or two.
Comes out, could be an interception. And Reed could be dancing in the end zone
for the
win at the Super Bowl.
Now, I got to ask you this. Do you think that Alex Smith, are you saying this because it might be intentional? Like he might be getting back at him? Or like psychologically, is he psyched out now? Like what?
I don't think a competitor like Alex Smith is going to do that. I mean, he needs to find a job next year, and that would definitely not help his cause.
Yeah,
that would hurt his paycheck.
But I think him trying a little too hard when he gets that,
if he does get an opportunity,
if he knows he's only going to get maybe a play or two.
You're right. He might like opt out of like a run and then go into like
his own thing,
force a pass or something. Yeah, you might be onto something, Rodney. I like that.
But at the buzzer,
for me,
what's the buzzer
what's
thing?
The buzz got? Well, obviously, you might have heard this. I don't know, but the coaches are related to each other.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, they're actually brothers.
It's breaking news.
Breaking news. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know how much family emotions get into the football games, but I'm thinking on this scale of a level, it's going to happen in some degree. And so when the Ravens are in a tight game, I'm all right. So it's going to be a tight game, obviously. I think we all think it's going to be a defensive struggle. I think towards the end of the game, the Ravens will have a chance to put them out for the punch, to really just completely seal the game, the finishing blow.
Sure.
And John Harbaugh, big bro, won't be able to kill his little brother, won't be able to step on the neck and finish it, give him a little bit of life, and in the last, the final minutes of the game,
have a good drive. San
Francisco's going to take this one, and Harbaugh should have just killed it, but he's going to get soft. In a sense, he's going to want to give his brother an opportunity,
If it's the last drive,
so I'm going with him for the piece of shit. He's going to ruin this for Baltimore.
If it comes down
and then Bolden is going to accuse him of it, or some of the players are going to come out and say exactly that.
Oh yeah,
like Tim Brown.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you saw that.
If it comes down to San Francisco needing a touchdown on a final drive, Ray Lewis, and who better to have on your defense in that situation?
Last 2 minutes of his career.
But Pat Willis,
last drive. That's definitely the guy you want out there.
Yeah,
sure.
But what we don't know yet is how much Colin Kaepernick can provide in the last 2 minutes.
Let's see.
I'm hoping we'll find out, and I think we will. I'm going to pitch you this question. I know we already got off of it, but just real quick, we talked about Anquan Bolden, Randy Moss, Ed Reed. If they don't win the Super Bowl for either of these guys, Hall of Fame still in sight. Anquan Bolden with potentially
no, not a chance. If he loses the Super Bowl, he's definitely not in the Hall of Fame.
You think with a Super Bowl, maybe? Maybe
you could make if he comes back next year.
Exactly.
But Randy Moss, if he gets this ring, it will solidify his career.
Unless he pulls a Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
Well,
murder
of course.
his family. You can murder someone, Ray Lewis.
Allegedly.
But you can't murder your family. Yeah, you can allegedly murder someone, but you can't murder your family and make the Hall of Fame.
Well, speaking of people getting murdered, let's talk about people getting murdered on the football field. We got a segment here called the Kipper's Pain Train. This is where I predict an injury that could possibly happen in the upcoming game.
It's really a sick segment, but let's continue.
Okay, the injury that I'm predicting is Michael Crabtree, Randy Moss's protege, is going to get a severe groin injury from a bad cut on the field. He's going to zig one way. Ed Reed's going to be right in front of him. He's going to zag the other way, and it's going to be sad. They're going to have to bring the little helmet card out. They're going to go to like some of those $1 billion commercials, not to show us his pain. It's going to be sick. I don't want it to happen, but hey, the Kipper's Pain Train's going to happen.
As long as we get an extra quarter of the Bud Bowl out of it, I think I'll be happy with it.
Who do you think is going to have the best commercial?
For
the Super Bowl? Doritos. Usually he's got some good ones. Pepsi is another. You know what I mean? Like who do you got for best commercial? Rodney.
I'm gonna go Geico.
Geico. That's a good choice.
Bad. That's not bad.
They're gonna do something really good with the lizard.
I hope
his
so.
His crappy little British accent.
That's what I'm thinking. They gotta do something.
Tiny football.
They need to do something different.
I think that it's gonna be Papa John's, and they're gonna tie in the whole like Peyton Manning
sitting on the bench,
selling the pizzas. Like 2 million pizzas, 4 million pizzas. I think that they're going to do something good with that. But, Budweiser, always look for Budweiser.
Yeah, and I'm sticking with Doritos. They've been solid the last couple of years. They've had some good ones.
GoDaddy.com. It's cheap, but, hey, it's entertaining.
Cheesy. How about then, maybe that was best commercial. Who's going to be the MVP of the Super Bowl? Not the MVP of the commercial breaks. We just did that.
Okay.
MVP of the Super Bowl, the actual game. We know most of you probably just turn in to watch the commercials, but some of you listeners watch the actual game. So who's going to win it? Who's going to come home with the Lombardi? Who's going to go to Disney World?
Who's getting his chance?
Who's getting the car?
I think that it's going to be Ray Lewis. He didn't get his chance back in the day because he was, allegedly a murderer. And
didn't he get his chance? Isn't he already a Super Bowl MVP?
Yes, but he didn't get his chance to say the I'm going to Disney World thing. I think that he's going to get a chance to say it this time.
Do you think they'll let him in Disney World?
I don't know.
Just asking.
I don't know. Well, who do you think is going to be the Super Bowl MVP? We're both picking the Ravens.
I see Ray Rice.
Ray Rice?
I see out of the backfield. He's going to get just all-around numbers.
A different Ray.
All-around numbers.
Yeah,
is
you
gonna
guys
seal
both
for
have
him.
Rays. You're right.
Well, who do you got, Buzz?
Who do I have? The same person I've been sporting now for quite a while. Frank Gore for glory. The guy is deserving. This is his year. I'm thinking 2 touchdowns at
Will it
least.
solidify
If
his
San
Hall of
Francisco,
Fame career?
It might. If he's the Super Bowl MVP, if he has
I
like
think
2
that's his
touchdowns,
only shot.
This
Yeah,
is his only
Super
shot. If
Bowl
he gets
MVP.
Super Bowl MVP, this is his chance. This
Just
is
a
his
ring
stage.
isn't enough. Doesn't
He
have
has
impressive
he
numbers.
has survived these terrible 49er teams.
He's got to make the option
deserving.
work.
He's got to make it work,
Gotta
and
be doing
I
some
think
blocking.
he will. Well, I don't know why. I'm very confident in this 49er win, and I'll explain why. Because so far, all of these playoffs, Kipper has picked against the Ravens.
I know. I have not
Every
liked
time.
the Ravens.
He's picked against them
I
for
just
all 3
can't-
games, and they won for all 3 games.
And this time,
he's picking the Ravens. Obviously, the opposite is going
so
to
you
happen.
think that it's got Kipper reverse karma written all over
It's
it?
Kipper karma.
Kipper karma.
But
Kipper karma.
who
It's hard to
saw the
say.
Ravens coming out of the AFC though?
Well, no. I mean,
I
but you
picked the-
saw them beating Indianapolis.
I picked the Broncos.
I thought Denver was going to make it happen. I thought they were going to go all the way.
Yeah, I think
And when
we-
Denver went down, I figured it was New England was going to steamroll their way into the bowl.
Well,
Yeah.
seriously, I thought the Colts were going to win. That didn't really pan out. Then I thought the Broncos were going to win. You saw
Even as
that
far as the
happen.
Colts.
Then you
So this is why I'm so sure.
Well, I wanted to see a Luck Manning matchup so much that I predicted the wrong thing.
It
Sorry,
would have been
public.
cool. You're right. It would have been awesome to see that.
It would have been great ratings, and now we get Ray Lewis crying.
Yeah,
Act
which
like
is-
you've been
which is-
there, Ray. Act like you've been there.
He has been there.
Oh man, who do you think is gonna cry? All right,
Who's
real
cry-
quick before we go, who's crying the hardest?
Oh,
Ray
man.
Lewis,
Ray
hands
Lewis,
down.
regardless of win or lose.
Doesn't matter. He's
Who-
going to be in tears all over the
Who
place.
would cry harder though if they win? Randy Moss or Ray Lewis?
Oh man,
I don't think Randy
Ray
Moss
Lewis.
cries.
You don't think Randy Moss cries?
Nope.
I don't think he sheds
He's obviously
a
an
tear.
emotional guy.
Yeah.
He hides it, obviously seeming.
I think
seeming
we
well,
might see a
but-
former player. If San Francisco wins, you're going to see Steve Young bawling his eyes out on the sidelines.
No.
Yeah, or
He's going to be like an
or maybe
analysis
Tony
there. He's gonna
Tony
have to be on the job.
Saragusa at home.
Tony
gonna be,
Saragusa. What?
he's going to be bawling his eyes out. You
Why
know.
are we even talking? Oh yeah, 'cause he's the ex Baltimore,
Yeah.
of course, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's up to much, I guess.
Or sh-
right?
You know, like he's a commentator. You know, he
sideline.
might be there.
He might. He probably is there.
But-
I'm sure he's there.
It will be Ray Lewis.
We're here, so
if
I mean,
Ray
hell.
Lewis, if they win, Ray Lewis is gonna
Cry the
He's
hardest.
gonna be sponsored by Kleenex. They'll probably have a Kleenex commercial.
Maybe that'll be the
during
commercial
the
right
game.
after. I like it. Hopefully that's the one.
Everybody better bring a ShamWow for his tears.
Yeah, you need something to really soak it up.
Well, from New Orleans, Swagger Town.
Swagger Town. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're going to be seeing the tears of depression, not of glee, because Frank Gore for glory. 49ers are taking this.
That's why they play the games.
That's why they play the games. That's why we watch the games. And that's why you listen to us. So you can see how wrong we do or how right we are. We can laugh at Kipper when he's wrong and I'm right.
At Kipper Cooper.
At Kipper Cooper, we got As Buzz Birch. That's me. And at Lightning Rod 49, that's Rodney Muddergaurd, our ex-player. JV League over in New
Great
Mexico.
player. Wonderful numbers.
Fairfield Falcons. Great numbers.
Wonderful persona. Wonderful.
So follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. We'll have another, Unsportsmanlike Conduct up pretty soon. We'll be sticking with you throughout the off season. Probably kicking it back a little bit.
We'll
but
be breaking
don't worry.
down the Super Bowl.
We'll be breaking
a
down
week
the
from
Super Bowl,
now.
and we'll be bringing you the latest news, transactions. So, Unsportsmanlike Conduct crew, we won't leave you hanging.
As always,
Kip Cooper,
Rodney Muddergaurd.
and I'm Buzz Birch. Good night from New Orleans. Enjoy your Super Bowl party.
Swagger Town.
The regards.
This has been Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Tune in next week for more hard-hitting coverage of the games you care about.